Hello everyone and welcome to another TGN World of Warcraft guide with Rurikhan. So today I'm going to be going over Batol as Holy. Now I haven't really made a whole lot of videos this week, and it's mainly because I've been leveling up my Death Knight and getting ready to do some Death Knight commentary as well, because you guys said it, you wanted some variety and not just the same old Paladin stuff. So I am working on getting you that variety. So I'm going to be doing some Death Knight videos really soon here. But once again, starting up right here in Batol with my Paladin Tauren playing as Holy. And this is, as usual, a completely random pug. I will always tell you whenever I go with guild groups, which in this case is not really the case. I'm basically just doing Heroic Batol. I actually got this in my random, and I'm like, yeah, cool. So, doing your basic stuff, getting some Beacon of Light action on that bear. And the nice thing about this run is that you actually get the view of what a healer is looking at when you're doing Batol without any CC. I don't think we've used any CC in this particular run. So instead of just getting the tankings view, you're going to get to see what I watch as a healer while I'm looking at these green bars of doom. So in this first pull here, you could actually use some CC, considering that we have a shaman and a mage, but the tank chose not to, and I'm basically just, okay, so you don't want to use any CC? That's fine, I'll just spam heal you completely. Like, for now, I'm basically doing Divine Lights up front. Why? Because it keeps a shield on him that in case he takes any damage, it's going to be absorbed in that shield instead of him taking direct damage. I actually made a little mess up there where I actually buffed kings and I didn't notice that we had a druid bear. Well, I mean, I obviously noticed it, but sometimes I just forget about Mark of the Wild. But it's an important thing to notice there, which is if you're a paladin and you have a druid in your group, you want to obviously make kings, because Mark of the Wild kings. Bleh. You want to obviously make Blessing of Might, because Mark of the Wild and kings no longer stack since Cataclysm release, basically. In fact, since patch 4.0, which was actually at some point during Wrath of the Lich King. So it's always useful if you do Might instead and let the druids do Mark of the Wild, because that way you will get more buffs, quite basically. Yeah. So in here, doing the usual stuff, basically keeping your Holy Shock always, whenever possible, on cooldown. Just spam that Holy Shock on everything, because it gives you Holy Power and it's your one instant cast. You also have Word of Glory, but according to Towley, that's getting nerfed the next patch. I'm just laughing my ass off, because I used to play a warrior, right, as my main, and when I was playing a warrior as my main, what was happening was the warrior was getting nerfed left and right, and paladins were getting buffed all the freaking time. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason why I re-rolled. I mean, most of you should probably know that I re-rolled because my guild needed more healers, and I just decided, okay, I'll take on that role. I'll go for the healer. I have a holy paladin who happened to be one of my most leveled characters at the time, and I just said, yeah, fine, I'll do it. I'll just get some holy spec in this bastard and just go heal. But it's funny, because now it seems that the paladins are getting the nerf bat left and right, and I'm just like, yeah, more nerfs. That's just what I need, especially right after I get my huge mana nerf there. It's really nice. Now, obviously, I'm going through the Drake section of Batol, and if you guys want to take mental notes of exactly where I'm shooting at, these are usually the best targets to shoot at, because these are the targets that you're going to be going through as a party when you're actually navigating the instance. So the more damage you make on the targets that I'm shooting at, the less health the trash will have, and the easier it will be to AoE tank. Not that ease would matter for this particular group, because that bear is just charging in, picking everything up like a boss, and trying to AoE it down. I'm not exactly against it. In fact, with my current gear, I can probably heal any tank that tries to do that. at least I think, assuming that you need to have your 329 magic numbers average to get into heroics. You don't want to get into an heroic with less than 329, oh my god! Not that I have done that with both my Paladin and my Death Knight. As a matter of fact, yes, I did! I completely messed up the item level system. I was basically going through the instances, and whenever something would drop, like say a piece of cloth or something, I would ask the players, do you really need that? If you do not need it, can I please have it? Because it will boost my item level. Yes! With my Death Knight, I went into my first heroic, and my tanking gear was probably averaging out at 315. What? I mean, I know that I can do it, so what's the point of forcing someone to have to reach a magical item level number? I mean, Blizzard should frickin' just give me 1,000 justice points. I'm performing a goddamn community service each time I'm taking an heroic. So yeah, basically we got a lot of trash, well, not down, but very low on health, and that makes it a whole lot easier now to basically just plow through it. Now, I'm just basically spamming the druid and anyone else that takes damage with good old heal bot. I've already mentioned what's my heal bot setup. Left click is holy light. Left click is holy light. Right click is divine light. Shift left click is going to be my cleanse. Middle button is the holy shock, which I spam whenever I can, at least whenever I remember myself, because sometimes I'm caught in between casts and I don't spam it as often as I'd like. That's still something I'm working on. Shift right click actually will give me Dawn of Light. We also have Control and button 5 in my mouse, which is this one over here, and that gives me the Hand of Sacrifice, which you will also see the cooldown there, because it allows me to check out if my Hand of Sacrifice is on cooldown or not, because whenever the tank is taking too much damage, I will pop a Hand of Sacrifice on him. You might see me pop wings every now and then. That comes along with my mana regeneration macro, which basically, well, it's not really a macro since I do all of this stuff manually, but basically what I do whenever I need to regen mana, I get myself Divine Plea, and then I pop my trinket as well, which basically gives me 1,920 spirit, I believe. So I get Divine Plea, I get that crap ton of spirit trinket, and I also pop wings. And why do I pop wings? Because when you pop Divine Plea, you get 50% reduction on your healing, and that's really, really bad. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and pop wings, because it will basically increase all your healing output. I'm not sure if it's 30% or 20%, but basically it will increase your output and make up for the fact that you're using Divine Plea. So you can still do some effective healing while regaining your mana. Also, more important than anything for Paladin when it comes to mana regeneration, judge. Judge whenever you can and how often you can. In fact, I have something really nice which I've mentioned in a past video that I did on my channel, that I was going to switch my professions to engineering, and basically what that allows me is to have synapse springs on my gloves. And what do synapse springs do? Well, synapse springs basically will boost your intellect by 480 every minute for 10 seconds. And if you just basically spam that whenever it's available, which I happen to do, I have a macro for my judgment that whenever I judge, I also try to use the gloves, the synapse springs. And what happens is every minute you will basically get a mana potion effect, because you get the 480 intellect and you get all the mana that comes with that. And when the 480 intellect goes away, the mana doesn't go away, so it works like a mana pot. So that's something really, really nice for you to have if you happen to have engineering or are considering using engineering. This might just push you that little bit over the edge. If you're also a DPS class, it doesn't just increase your intellect, it will increase either your intellect, your agility, or your strength for 10 seconds every minute, which means it has a 1 minute cooldown. Now, we are engaging the boss here, and I'm going to give out instructions to the mage to sheep the malignant trog and keep it sheeped at all times. Now, as you could see there, I had aggro on the trog, and I immediately basically ran away and stunned it so that the mage could sheep it. So the point of sheeping that purple ad is because basically the purple ad is not going to respawn. You always want to keep that thing CC'd or kill it as fast as possible. So by keeping it CC'd and him not respawning, you basically make this fight into a tank and spank and dodge blitz. Now I don't think I've ever actually done this fight as a healer, which was really nice because I was looking at it and I'm like, blitz on me. Oh yeah, I need to move away because I never actually healed this, and I never actually got targeted for blitz. In fact, there I actually ate a ground siege, which was kind of weird because the tank was like onto my right, and for some reason the boss was still targeting me with ground siege, and I almost got away in time, but not quite. And once again, he's going to be targeting me. And as you could see there, I actually went for the Hand of Sacrifice on the tank because the boss was getting to the enrage phase, and still pretty easy stuff. We downed him. It seems like the DPS was actually doing pretty good. We see an 18k damage there, which means 18,000 damage per second from that Death Knight. So yeah, he was definitely doing good. And we have 17,000 damage per second on that Shaman. And yeah, the real lower damage there was done by the I'm sorry, I still have some after cough. The real low damage in that boss was actually made by the mage, which was kind of weird, but probably he was just focusing way too much on CC, so yeah, I guess it's understandable. Now powering straight on through, just killing some trash. Basically, since we're AoEing, there really is not much to comment. Whenever you see my character go a little bit translucid like he is right now, that means the synapse springs have been activated, and that I actually gotten, while the duration of that translucid thing is going there, it means that basically I have 480 plus intellect than normal. Now the tank got a DC, but the mage still pulled, and yeah, guess what happens? Yep, pretty much standard stuff. So now I'm going to, since I thought the mage was going to be the one taking aggro, I basically used Beacon on him, but turns out he didn't, so I used Beacon on myself so that I could keep on healing everyone. The Death Knight popped the army, and we're trying to deal with this pack over here while the boss is coming, and obviously we're going to have issues because we have CC'd mobs, we have mobs that we're trying to kill, and the boss is coming, and since the boss is aggroed, I'm actually just trying to run away. But what happens is, apparently the Death Knight tried to stay behind to tank it, and I didn't get the Q. So as you can see, I'm trying to heal everyone up, but I'm thinking, oh, the boss is coming, gotta run away. But no, the boss was actually not coming, and I should have went back to heal the Death Knight because he was actually tanking that stuff. But eventually I noticed, okay, the boss is actually reset, so now I'm going to just go ahead and pop Beacon of Light on that Shaman who seems to be tanking, and just keep on powering through like a boss. So we are still nuking trash, the tank is still DC'd, and we've actually got a funny little thing coming here. We were able to kill the trash, the Death Knight died, and I'm going to be rezzing that Death Knight. And we still have the Beguiler there. Gonna be killing that right now, I believe. Yes. Go on, take it. Keep tanking it. You got Beacon of Light. Go do it. Go Shaman. Go Shaman. It's your birthday. Go Shaman. Yeah! No? Oh my god. There we go. The mage just said, well, if you're not tanking it, I'm just gonna go ahead and nuke the crap out of it. And the Shaman eventually picked it back up again. And obviously we're able to power on through this. I mean, it's just one mob. Doesn't really matter that much. And yeah, so I'm actually gonna skip over here for a couple of seconds because what happens is the tank got a DC. I'm basically rezzing the Death Knight, and I'm not gonna make you wait for this. And like I was saying, right back onto the action. So basically the tank came back. We resumed the fight there. We pulled the boss, and the funny thing about this tank was that he actually didn't knew the fights of Grim Batol. And that's quite okay, actually, because even if you don't know the fights are fairly straightforward. So basically, right before pulling the boss, the tank said, the The tank said, oh, can I get just some quick tactics for this? And we're like, yeah, nuke it down, dodge anything that looks bad, and don't try to tank it when he's got the mace, which is basically everything you really need to know as a tank. If he's got the mace, you gotta kite it. If there's AoE on the floor, you gotta dodge it. And if there's a shield spewing out massive fire, you want to make sure to dodge that as well. Now, the boss is going to pop dual blades, and I'm going to put up Hand of Sacrifice on the boss. Because, well, as we all know, during dual blades, what happens is the tank takes a whole lot of damage, so I just popped Hand of Sacrifice there to make sure that I wasn't going to be caught off guard. I'm actually not removing the stacks of fire right away. I'm removing them like at 3 or 4 stacks or something, because you don't really have to remove the fire immediately, because the dual blades just keep on applying the fire debuff. And now, like I said, if he's got the mace, you run away, and that's exactly what he did. I mean, the boss had the mace, and the guy ran away, and now the boss actually has me on the mace. But yeah, turns out the mace phase is actually quite shorter than I expected. I had never gotten impaled before. Wait a minute! That doesn't sound right! God damn it, never gotten impaled before. And I hope I never get impaled again. No, really. I know that Big C knows a thing or two about getting impaled. Right? No, but seriously, the whole thing about Impale is that I had never experienced it, so I really didn't know if it was long, if it was short, but it seemed pretty short to me. So still, we downed the boss pretty easy. Like I said, we actually have some awesome DPS in this group, which makes it extremely easy to power through all this trash and all this stuff. So here we are, right on to the next pack, and you might notice that the bear is actually calling out some CC for this particular pack. In case you're wondering why, it's because the Twilight Beguilers will do this spell called Chained Mind. And what does Chained Mind do? Chained Mind basically disables one character for X amount of seconds. I don't know exactly how much. The problem with that is, if one of those Beguilers happens to disable your healer for a couple of seconds, your tank might just die. So it's useful to keep the adds to manageable minimum. So if you just at least CC 1 or even 2, I always try to CC 2 when I'm doing these packs. It's always useful because those chain mines, they can be real wipers. In fact, I've wiped the chain mines a few times because of my arrogance and saying, oh my god, no, fuck this, I'm just gonna go ahead and power through it. Yeah, and then they all of a sudden chain mine my healer, chain mine anyone that can interrupt, and I'm like, oh my god! Which at the moment is not really a problem if you're tanking as a paladin, because paladins have rebuke baseline, which was about freaking time, because it's pretty tough if you're a paladin and you were having to rely on everyone else to do your interrupts for you. But at the moment, every single tank has an interrupt, so it's hard to die from that, but it still is quite possible to die from it. So yeah, I still like to do some CC. I like CCing, what can I say, it just makes the whole run more organized. Even though this druid seems to just want to plow through everything. We're actually going to be skipping this pack over here to my right. I don't know why they didn't skip the other one. I believe the other one you can skip as well, so if you were going to skip it, why not just skip both of them? But yeah, whatever. So the druid was running there, and I'm like, screw you, I'm an engineer. I'm going to just go ahead, pop my nitro boosts, and plow through this, baby. So yeah. It pisses me off when people go off and try to use the skills that make them go faster, and I can't do anything about it, but now I can. Except when something bad happens and my boots explode, which some people have already seen happening in my live stream, which I do every now and then. But yeah, it's a pain in the neck when something like that happens. Again, plowing through the trash here, there really isn't much to comment on, because like I said, he's not doing any CC, he's just basically powering through it. I'm actually considering at this point in time going Retribution as my off-spec, because I barely do any tanking on my Paladin. I find tanking on the Paladin to not be as satisfying as it is on, say, my Warrior or my Death Knight, so I don't know. I think I kind of tanked for quite a bit on my Paladin, and I don't know, I think it's just getting a little bit old and I want to try out something new because actually Retribution at the moment is not the joke that it used to be in Wrath of the Lich King, because if you played Retribution during Wrath of the Lich King, or if you know how Paladins were as Retribution during Wrath of the Lich King, you probably know that it's really... Well, basically, it goes a little bit like this, the way that Paladins used to play during Wrath of the Lich King. You would grab the Retribution Paladins. You would grab your keyboard like so, and you would stick your face against the keys, something like this, and then you would just like, and that was basically all you did in Wrath of the Lich King to play as a Retribution Paladin, which is why I didn't really play my Paladin that much in Wrath of the Lich King. I just leveled him up to 80. Tanked a little bit with him, and that was it. But right now, however, Retribution is actually quite challenging, and a whole lot more challenging than, say, Protection, or maybe even Holy. Well, Holy is still quite challenging, especially after you got the 10% mono nerf in all of your spells. And I know that I might be overusing this mono nerf, this 10% mono nerf, but then again, it just kind of ticks me off that, come on, I mean, 10% increase in mana in all my spells? It's ridiculous. If you're not careful, you can go like in 2 seconds. It's like, oh, well, let me just do a couple of flash of lights. Oh, wait, my mana's gone. Whoops. Yeah, so you gotta be real careful. You gotta make sure that every heal counts at the moment. God damn it, I have an itchy nose. But, yeah, if you're tanking, by the way, and you get this Wormlight Collar, make sure that you pay attention because the Drake is going to soon follow. So yeah, you gotta pay attention to that. Also, the tank apparently wasn't moving from fire. I basically couldn't really tell because I was just spamming heals and I didn't even notice that his health was going down so fast or something. But yeah. Then again, we do have Mark of the Wild and Resistance Aura that I've been using Resistance Aura because of the guy that made the fire and all that stuff. I used Resistance Aura since that boss, and yeah, basically I kept on Resistance Aura because there's a lot of elementals and a lot of spells going about. So yeah, I kept Resistance Aura, plus Druids have enough armor as is. They don't need my Devotion Aura unless it's a really just physical damage instance, which is not the case. There's a lot of casters in this instance. So yeah, I just kept Resistance Aura up, and that's something that you really need to know about a Paladin, which I still haven't quite mastered yet, but you really always need to be aware what aura you're using. Now, in this boss, you guys probably already know how this boss works because I've said it a bunch of times, but I'm going to go through it again just to make sure that you guys get it. Basically, what happens in the next boss that we're going to be doing is, from time to time, the boss will summon fire adds, and I actually thought the tank wanted to skip this one because he was just going forward, but it turns out that a lot of tanks actually just like to kill this pack for whatever reason. They just like to having lots and lots of rooms to move. I guess you just have a big ass, don't you, Mr. Druid? Huh? That big fat ass of yours that can't fit everywhere? Huh? You just basically go around, you wiggle your ass around, and you aggro everything in a whole damn instance? Yeah. So, yeah, you see how big your ass is? You see how big that ass? Look at what you just did. You just aggro the mob with your ass. No, I kid. I actually like bear tanks. In fact, I like any tanks. I like any tanks that submit to my healing techniques because I get to practice a lot. So, this boss is basically all about dodging the fire ad. The boss makes a fire ad. The fire ad makes a laser-like, fire laser-like line that targets one player. I'm sorry. As I was saying, the main thing about this boss is basically that you gotta dodge the fire ad. He makes a fire ad, and the fire ad will basically make up a laser fire line that targets one player. If that ad reaches that player that's got the fire line on him, that player is gonna die, and everyone next to that player is gonna die as well. So basically, if you get targeted by the fire ad, you gotta kite it away. You basically gotta kite it and give time for the DPS to kill it. And what we actually have happening here is actually quite amusing, which is the tank gets targeted, and look what he does. He charges right in like a boss, and he's so lucky that the DPS was able to kill the ad in time. And I'm like, oh my god. And everybody's like, you run away from the ad, and I'm saying, you were targeted! You'd never do that again if it reaches you and explodes and kills us. And we're all like, holy crap, we're so doomed! But luckily I don't think he ever got targeted again, and if he did get targeted, oh, here's someone getting targeted. And as a paladin, what I do is basically I would come up here and I would stun it, but my stun is actually on cooldown because I believe I might have stunned the other one. And here comes the breath. Whenever the dragon makes that breath, basically you can tell. And as you can see there, you really need to notice the types of heals that I've started casting there, which was that Death Knight was going to die. And instead of going for the Holy Light, Divine Light combo that I would usually take, basically what I did was I went for the Flash of Light. And the reason for going Flash of Light is because Flash of Light is one of your faster, higher, and higher heals. Which basically means you get a fast heal, you get a high amount of output, but you get a mana hit as well. And I really like that kind of mechanic, like, okay, you want to sacrifice some mana now. And in here we actually had an ad, we had fire, we had all kinds of complicated stuff, but I still managed to stun that ad, DPS, powered it down, nobody died. So yeah, it was a pretty good attempt there. And we're about to take Valiona down. She's basically about ready to ditch Draga, and he's going to be popping up another fire ad there, and I'm actually looking at it and I'm like, damn, the tank is so close. If it happens to target the tank, we're so screwed. But it doesn't. It targets the shaman, luckily, and basically I'm even exorcism spamming it because I'm just helping out the DPS, and the tank isn't taking all that much damage anyways. Those shoulders I already have for my tanking set, so I don't really need them anymore. So I went ahead and just pressed disenchant on it. And now I'm just saying, what a lucky start. And it was a lucky start considering that the tank charged the ad and didn't die. I'm not sure if he's actually going to put out some CC here, but I'm pretty sure he's not. He's just going to power through these 4 mobs. And there's actually an issue with powering through these 4 mobs, which is they can put up quite a nuke sometimes, and it can be really unexpected for the healers. Now, I already expected, so I basically just do all the big heals, and I dispel the tank and basically hand a sacrifice on him. And as you can see, he's at the moment receiving 30% less damage because of my hand of sacrifice, and he's still taking quite the beating. And the reason why I'm not noticing so much about the beating is because I'm basically spam healing everyone, and he's got Beacon of Light, which means he's getting all the healing he needs right now. So yeah, still, like I said, very dangerous to pull this pack without any form of CC. Very, very dangerous. Same thing for the pack below. I'm sorry, like I said, I still have some after cough, and it basically comes out whenever I speak for such long periods of time. In fact, saying long periods of time is not really right, because this was actually a pretty fast run considering it's been about 28 minutes by this point. And this is Grim Batol, supposedly one of the hardest instances in Wrath of the Lich King, really, and Cataclysm, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just saying that he was lucky enough that his stun lasted long enough for the DPS to nuke the ad down. And once again, he's going to power through those 4 guys, and I'm just like, okay, here we go again. Because these 4 is also a pretty dangerous pack, and if your tank goes ahead and does this, you want to make sure that you're ready to spam heal, because people can die in these particular 2 last packs because they pack quite a punch. So I'm popping good old Holy Radiance to make sure that the whole group is receiving some nice little heals there, and it softens the blow before I have to move on to my bigger heals. So yeah, some nice stuff. Also notice that during this whole instance, I don't really think I ever sat down to drink. That's because I'm really making efficient use of my mana and my mana cooldowns. Like right now, I just popped my Divine Plea and again popped my Trinket. And if you really manage to if you really are able to manage your mana like this, I'm actually practicing for raids, because sitting down to drink is something that you're not allowed to do during a raid fight, because when your mana is over during a raid fight, it's done. It's over. You're screwed. You're basically useless. So it's really good for you to do this kind of practice stuff where, like, no, I want to go through the whole instance without drinking. Sure, it might not be the smartest idea, but it's still something you want to practice, because it helps you really manage your mana more efficiently. Even though at the moment, which is something that kind of ticks me off, Blizzard nerfed the crap out of heroics, and they are so freaking nerfed right now that basically you can just power through it and it becomes way too easy. I know that I'm actually a bit decked out in epics at the moment when it comes to healing gear, but even still, it's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be where I practice, when I'm not doing raids. It's like my playground. In fact, I go to pugs specifically for practice. Right? I go to these random pugs specifically because it's harder when you're doing it with a random pug. It's harder to coordinate. It means that you're probably going to have to heal a lot harder than you would if you were with a guild group. Everything is harder. So it disappoints me that the heroics were nerfed so hard, because at the moment this practice is no longer really practice. It's just going through an instance. Plowing through an instance. Easy mode. Whatever. So, and here the tank didn't actually knew the tactic for this boss either, so I just told him, well, during Shadow Gale, just find me, and, excuse me, we had already assigned ads for each of the DPSers, so yeah, it's fine. And basically engages the boss. This boss is all about when the Shadow Gale comes, you have to stand in the eye of this shadow storm that he makes. You will see how to identify that. If someone gets hit by that thing, you need to dispel them as soon as possible, or they need to be dispelled, whatever way you want to look at it. If you are the tank and you get that thing that happened just now where the boss pushes you away, you don't just run back in, because basically what happens is, I believe you get a major armor debuff. So as you can see there, I'm jumping up and down so that he sees the cross. And basically spam healing the tank so that he gets a little shield, because I want to go ahead and help out the DPSers when they go on the ads. And yeah, basically I'm still healing the tank, but I believe I do some exo spamming here as well, yeah. Here's the Judgment, and here's the exo spam. Now the problem with doing exorcism spams is that it actually expends quite a bit of your mana. Exorcism is a really expensive spell. In fact, I think it's I think that Blizzard should have allowed like some synergy so that you could actually level up as Holy. And I know how ridiculous that sounds, considering that you have dual spec right now, but I leveled up as Holy from 60 to 70 and from 70 to 80. I leveled up as Holy, and I enjoyed it. The thing is, right now you can't really do it, because it's like you kill one mob and you sit down to drink. Kill one mob and sit down to drink, because Exorcism takes way too much mana. And it's ridiculous, because if you look at, let's say, I think it's the Discipline Healer or something, they actually receive incentive to spam Smite, because they smite an enemy and they get some kind of smart heal or something. I don't know exactly what it is, because I don't play a Discipline Priest, but I know that there's actually an incentive for them to smite, whereas me, there's absolutely no incentive for me to do Exorcism. There's no incentive whatsoever. There's nothing that I benefit from it. Yeah, sure, there's an incentive for me to judge, but Judgment is on an 8-second cooldown. Come on. You should give me an incentive to do some exorcisms, do some damage. I mean, yeah, sure, I want to heal. Let's get this straight. I want to heal. My main thing is healing. But in this particular fight, in Eridox, it's actually pretty useful if the healer helps DPSing down those ads. It is. It's a fact. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of Grim Batol. And make sure to visit tgn.tv and news.tgn.tv for all your gaming news and your gaming videos. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next one. And stay safe. 35 minutes. Grim Batol. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As holy. And coming up next will be some Death Knight stuff. See you guys on the next one.